Yes, good evening, everyone.
Evening, sir.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening. Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening. S- Good evening. So we will start with our session. Today we will try to complete the first unit of legal aspects of business. So before most students join in, we are having 1 or 2 minutes. If you have any query related to whatever we have discussed so far in unit number 1, you can unmute yourself and you can raise your query. Yes, so
Sir,
far, if you have any query.
Sir, Neha here. Can we get this PPT?
Yes, Neha. Definitely. Maybe tomorrow or day after tomorrow, I'll mail you.
Okay, sir.
You will receive this on your email. Plus, the learning material or notes related to first unit, I will mail you that also. Yes, anyone is having any other query?
Sir, Dipali here.
Yes.
Sir, I know it is
Yes.
very early to ask about it, but any idea how in exams it will be descriptive, or how we need to start preparing for the exams? As Satish sir said, it will be there in April, maybe the exams. So we just
We,
want to know how we can start preparing for the
yeah,
exams.
April. There are discussions going on regarding how and when it will be conducted. Most probably, as sir has already informed you, most probably whatever discussions that are taking place right now, on that basis, we can say that in the month of April, maybe first or second week, you might have your term end examination, that is your semester examination, final examination. How it will be conducted, again, there are discussions, or informally I can tell you that it will be online exam only based on MCQs, multiple choice questions. But why we are not officially sharing it? Because we are yet to receive any official notification related to this from the university. So things are in say a very raw stage, first stage. So we are not allowed to share anything to the student till we receive any written notification from the university. तो इस वजह से हम लोग क्या हो रहा है कि आप लोगों को पूरा क्लैरिटी नहीं दे पा रहे, क्योंकि अभी तक हमारे को ही क्लैरिटी नहीं है। अभी तक ये सब डिस्कशंस चल रहे, वॉट एवर डिस्कशन टेक्स प्लेस इन द यूनिवर्सिटी, और देर आर ऑनलाइन मीटिंग्स गोइंग ऑन। सो जो ऑनलाइन मीटिंग्स में डिस्कशंस होते हैं, वो उस बेस पे सर ने आपको बताया कि अप्रैल में एग्जाम होगा, ऑनलाइन एग्जाम होगा, पर अभी तक हमारे को रिटर्न नोटिफिकेशन नहीं है। मे बी शायद ऐसा लगता है कि 1-2 दिन में या इसी वीक में सब रिटर्न नोटिफिकेशन आ जाएगा। तो जैसे ही रिटर्न नोटिफिकेशन आएगा, इमीडिएटली ऑन दैट डे इटसेल्फ वी विल अपडेट यू अबाउट द पैटर्न, about the syllabus which will be included, whether it will be 100% or it will be less than 100%, whatever, all the details once we receive from the university in writing, then definitely we will share it with you. ठीक है?
Yes, sir. I can understand. अभी तक कुछ clarity नहीं है, but फिर भी
हाँ,
just to
क्योंकि
start preparing हम लोग सब tension थोड़ा आ ही जाता है,
नहीं
तो
नहीं,
I thought to ask.
टेंशन मत लीजिए, बहुत अच्छा है, आप पूछिए। पर अभी कैसा होगा कि मैं अपने एक्सपीरियंस से आपको कुछ बताऊंगा तो वो गलत हो जाएगा,
Correct, sir.
क्योंकि आई एम अ टीचर, आई डोंट हैव दैट मच ऑफ अथॉरिटी. So once we receive from the university, once it is approved by director sir, then only I can share it with you कि ठीक है, MCQ होगा या डिस्क्रिप्टिव होगा या फिर दोनों का मिक्स होगा, ऑनलाइन होगा, ऑफलाइन होगा, जैसा भी रिटर्न आएगा। क्योंकि अभी आप लोगों को भी पता है कि 14 मार्च तक अभी कॉलेजेस बंद रहेंगे।
Yes, sir. Yeah.
तो इस हिसाब से सब क्लियर है कि शायद ऑनलाइन ही एग्जाम होंगे, ऑफलाइन नहीं होंगे। अब ऑनलाइन अगर होगा तो डिस्क्रिप्टिव इज वेरी डिफिकल्ट टू कंडक्ट, so easiest mode of conducting online examination is MCQ. So that is why we sir has already informed you and we are also telling you that you concentrate on MCQs. ठीक है। और अगर सपोज MCQs का टेस्ट होगा, जैसे ही हमारे को क्लियर होगा, what we will do is we have started preparing our question banks on MCQ also. तो एक एक सब्जेक्ट के शायद 200 तक हम लोग MCQs निकालने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं। तो जैसे ही हमारे को ये पता चलेगा, हम लोग हमारे जो MCQs हैं, प्रैक्टिस MCQs, वो भी आपको भेज देंगे। ठीक है।
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Thank
और-
you. It will help.
Thank you. Okay. Now I hope that you can see my screen.
Yes, sir.
Okay, very
Yes,
good.
sir.
So
Yes, sir.
okay, thank you. Yes,
Yes, sir.
so we will. Thank you. So what we will do is we will start with the session. We had discussed the rights and liabilities of an agent towards his principal in our last lecture. Now we will be discussing the rights of principal against his agent. ठीक है। तो एजेंट के राइट्स प्रिंसिपल के अगेंस्ट क्या है, एजेंट की ड्यूटीज प्रिंसिपल के अगेंस्ट क्या है, दैट वी हैड ऑलरेडी डिस्कस्ड इन आवर लास्ट लेक्चर। उसी का ऑपोजिट आज हम लोग डिस्कस करने वाले हैं, एंड दैट इज राइट्स ऑफ प्रिंसिपल, कि प्रिंसिपल के क्या अधिकार हैं अगेंस्ट द एजेंट, एंड प्लस द ड्यूटीज एंड रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटीज और ड्यूटीज एंड लायबिलिटीज ऑफ प्रिंसिपल टुवर्ड्स हिज एजेंट। दोनों भी चीजें हैं, अधिकार भी है और जिम्मेदारी भी है, या फिर रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटीज भी है। तो फर्स्ट वी विल टेक अप द राइट्स ऑफ प्रिंसिपल, very simple rights, so we will try to complete it fast. In case you have any query related to any right, please stop me and you can raise your query. Yes, first is right to demand accounts. So again, it is very simple. Right to demand accounts, as principal is the person who has appointed the agent to carry out his business of agency. So that is why he is having all the right to demand accounts from the agent. कितना पैसा आया, डील हुई तो वो पैसा कहाँ पे कौन से अकाउंट में जमा किया गया, उसका प्रूफ, उसका एविडेंस, he is having every right to demand from his agent. So that is the first right to demand accounts. Next one, a right to repudiate contract when agent deals with the business of agency on his own account. Now the meaning of repudiate is cancel. तो क्या राइट है इधर प्रिंसिपल के पास? राइट टू कैंसल द कॉन्ट्रैक्ट व्हेन एजेंट डील्स इन द बिजनेस ऑफ एजेंसी ऑन हिज ओन अकाउंट. So expected is that whenever there is a deal between the third party and the agent, all the amount which is received from the third party should go to the account of principal and it should not come in the account of the agent, right? तो अगर सपोज प्रिंसिपल के एजेंट ने प्लॉट्स बेचे हैं, तो प्लॉट्स की बिक्री हुई, जितना पैसा आया वो किसके अकाउंट में जाना चाहिए? प्रिंसिपल के। वहां पे प्रिंसिपल का बोल के अगर एजेंट अपना अकाउंट आगे कर देता है थर्ड पार्टी को, तो a principal is having every right that he can cancel the contract as well as he can take the agent for fraud in the court of law. Next, right to benefits gained by agent dealing on his own account in the business of agency. Again, it is very simple. Whatever profits, whatever interest that has generated on the account of agent, in the account of agent, on the money of principal, all that money plus interest plus other benefits are to be given back to the principal. Principal is having all the right to get that. कुछ लाख रुपए का डील हुआ, 10 लाख, 20 लाख, 50 लाख रुपए के प्लॉट्स बेचे गए. वो प्लॉट्स की जो टोटल ये जितना भी पैसा था वो प्रिंसिपल के अकाउंट में जमा करने की जगह एजेंट ने अपने अकाउंट में जमा कर लिया. After a period of 1 month, the principal realizes this, and during this 1 month, the agent has used this money of 50 lakh rupees, which was originally belongs to principal. Not only he has used the principal amount of 50 lakh, plus he has used the interest on that amount. तो जैसे ही पता चलेगा क्या राइट है प्रिंसिपल का कि वो उससे सिर्फ 50 लाख क्लेम नहीं कर सकता, बट 50 लाख के ऊपर जितना भी प्रॉफिट उसने कमाया है वो सारा प्रॉफिट भी एजेंट हैज टू हैंड ओवर द एंटायर अमाउंट प्लस प्रॉफिट टू द प्रिंसिपल. नेक्स्ट वन, right to recover damages. Now in Contract Act we had discussed about damages also, that 4 or 5 types of damages we had discussed. Damages means monetary compensation. If because of the conduct of agent, the principal suffers any loss, then the agent has to compensate that loss to the principal, and that is covered under right to recover damages. Next is right to refuse remuneration to agent when he is guilty of misconduct. Misconduct is when the agent disobeys his master, disobeys his principal. ठीक है, or he behaves badly or arrogantly with his principal. At that particular moment, the principal is having a right that he can stop the remuneration or he can refuse the payment of remuneration to the agent. Next, right to ratify or disown agents act. Now there are two terms used here. First one is ratify and second one is disown. Now the meaning of ratify is approval, approve, and disown means to cancel that. So ratify is approval, disowning is cancellation. So right to ratify or disown his agent's act. Now for example, without the knowledge of the principal, if the agent enters into a contract with the third party in the name of his principal. Now example is, without the knowledge of principal, if the agent enters into a contract with the third party, the principal is having two options with him. First option, that later on he can approve that contract or ratify that contract, or second option is he can disown or cancel that contract, because the agent has to follow the instructions of the principal. He is appointed by the principal to follow his instructions and to do the job of the agency under his instructions, right? So that is called as right to ratify or right to disown the agent's act. So these were the rights of principal against the agent. If you have not understood anything, please stop me and you can ask your query. Okay, no queries. Very good. Now we will be talking about what are the duties and liabilities of a principal against his agent. First one, to pay remuneration and dues to the agent. Again, it is very simple. The responsibility of the principal is, once the agent completes the task, whatever remuneration is promised by the principal to his agent, that is to be shared with the agent, that is to be given to the agent by the principal. 1 लाख रुपया, 50,000 रुपया, 10,000 रुपया, 10 लाख रुपया, जो भी remuneration, जो भी commission at the time of creation of agency that was agreed between the principal and the agent, once the task is over, then that remuneration should be given to the agent. If agent is appointed on the basis of monthly salary, once he completes a month of working, in the next month, the salary should be paid to the agent by the principal whenever it is due. If it is due in the first week of next month, it is to be paid during that period only. Next one, to indemnify agent against the consequences of all legal or lawful acts. Now, suppose the the agent has entered into a contract with the third party regarding the sale of plot. Later on, the third party comes to know that the title of the plot is not clear, or some legal cases are still pending for that particular title of that plot, which was sold by the agent to the third party. Now, if the third party files a suit of fraud against the agent and not against the principal, at that particular moment, whatever compensation or whatever expenses are being made by the agent to defend his case in the court of law is to be given by the principal to the agent. Why? Because agent was acting on behalf of the principal. As the principal has given him the task to sell his plot to the third party, as the principal has told him that the plots are clear in title and all the documents of the plot or related to the plot are correct and authentic, right? So that is called as to indemnify agent against the consequences of all acts done in good faith. That is against legal and lawful acts. Next one, to indemnify agent against the consequences of all acts done in good faith. Now, when we were discussing about types of agent, one type was called as substitute agent. Substitute agent. Now here, suppose third party has filed a case against the principal. Principal approaches the agent to suggest a name of a good lawyer, and agent suggests the name of a good lawyer to the principal, and principal appoints that lawyer. If suppose the lawyer who is representing the principal in the case, he loses that particular case. But when he was approached by the agent to take up the case of his principal, at that particular time, agent has invested some amount, say 5,000 rupees he has given as advance to the lawyer. So why he has approached that lawyer? If it is proved that he was doing it in the good faith of his principal, he wanted to provide his principal a good lawyer, but because of some reason the lawyer could not win the case for his principal. But whatever loss has been incurred by the agent, but only thing here it is to be proved is that the act should be done in good faith of the principal, right? तो अगर good faith prove हो गया कि अच्छा lawyer था, एजेंट ने ये सुनिश्चित किया कि ये लॉयर अभी तक कोई भी केस नहीं हारा है, बहुत अच्छे से मेरे प्रिंसिपल को डिफेंड करेगा, इसीलिए उसका नाम सजेस्ट किया, पर किसी कारणवश वो हार गया। पर जब एजेंट ने उसे अप्रोच किया था तो एजेंट ने एज टोकन 5,000 रुपीज दिए थे। अब प्रिंसिपल ये नहीं बोल सकता कि मैं तो केस हार गया हूं और डील ऐसी हुई थी, अगर मैं केस जीतूंगा तो ही मैं लॉयर को पैसे दूंगा। अब लॉयर केस हार गया है तो मैं अब ना लॉयर को पैसे दूंगा ना आपको पैसे दूंगा, मतलब एजेंट को पैसे दूंगा। सो हियर the excuse is not accepted in the court of law if it is proved that agent was acting in good faith of his principal for suggesting the name of that particular agent or lawyer, then the principal has to indemnify means compensate the loss of the person. Next one, to compensate agent for the injury cost. अगर एजेंसी के काम के दौरान कुछ भी इंजरी होती है एजेंट को, तो जो भी कॉम्पेंसेशन है, जो भी हॉस्पिटल का खर्चा है, वो सारा किसे खर्च करना पड़ेगा? प्रिंसिपल को। ओनली थिंग इट इज टू बी प्रूव्ड दैट द इंजरी हैज अकर्ड ड्यूरिंग द कोर्स ऑफ एम्प्लॉयमेंट ऑफ एजेंट। नेक्स्ट वन, liability in respect of contract entered by the agent with third party. So again, it is very simple. Here, agent is not liable. Who is liable? Principal is liable. So principal cannot escape his liability because the agent is entering into a contract on behalf of the principal, not on his own behalf. Next one, liability when the principal induces third party to believe that agent's unauthorized acts were authorized. Agent's unauthorized acts were authorized. अब इसमें क्या होगा? Here what induces means making the other person believe, right? जब आप किसी को इंड्यूस करते हैं, मतलब जब आप किसी को ये बताने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं कि ये जो भी एक्ट है या ये जो भी कर रहा है उससे मेरा अप्रूवल है, सो दैट इज व्हाट मेंशन्ड हियर, लायबिलिटी व्हेन द प्रिंसिपल इंड्यूसेस द थर्ड पार्टी टू बिलीव. Induces means makes the third party, right? Makes the third party to believe that agents unauthorized acts were authorized. अब जैसे प्रिंसिपल को प्लॉट बेचना है, प्रिंसिपल वहां पर नहीं पहुंच पाते, तो प्रिंसिपल किसे बोलते हैं? एजेंट को बोलते हैं कि आप साइन कर दो मेरे नाम से, चलेगा। अगर ये अथॉरिटी लेटर एजेंट को दिया जाता है, थर्ड पार्टी वहां पर अगर साइन करने के लिए थोड़ा सा रिलक्टेंट है, बिकॉज एजेंट हैज क्लियरली टोल्ड देम that he is a connecting link, he is a agent for his principal. So who is supposed to sign the sale deed of plot? The principal and the third party. But because of some problem, if principal is unable to reach the spot to sign the contract of sale of plot, so principal what he has done, he has authorized his agent. तो अगर एजेंट वहां पर प्रिंसिपल के नाम से साइन करता है, तो वो जो थर्ड पार्टी को अनऑथराइज्ड लग रहा था, अगर अथॉरिटी लेटर वो दिखा देता है एजेंट कि दिस इज द अथॉरिटी लेटर ऑफ द प्रिंसिपल, सो हियर द प्रिंसिपल इज फुल्ली लायबल ऑफ द सिग्नेचर्स, और ही इज फुल्ली रिस्पॉन्सिबल फॉर द सिग्नेचर्स ऑफ हिज एजेंट, बिकॉज ही हैज मेड द थर्ड पार्टी बिलीव that if the signature is of agent, they are fully authorized by the principal. Next one, liability on account of agent's misrepresentation or fraud. Liability on account of agent's misrepresentation or fraud. Now here Misrepresentation, we had already discussed the meaning of misrepresentation when we were discussing the essential elements of the contract, that what is misrepresentation and what is fraud. Misrepresentation is the when the facts which are not true, when the facts or the information which is not true is shared with the third party as if it is true, right? जब कोई गलत इंफॉर्मेशन सही समझकर थर्ड पार्टी के साथ शेयर की जाती है, that is called as misrepresentation. So in misrepresentation, the person who is sharing the information himself is not aware of the fact that this particular information which he thinks is correct is not correct, right? So here the intention of deceiving the third party is not present, right? So intention नहीं है, बिल्कुल भी ऐसा कोई इंटेंशन नहीं है एजेंट का कि थर्ड पार्टी को गलत इंफॉर्मेशन दी जाए. सो दैट इज कॉल्ड एज, बट गलती से वो गलत इंफॉर्मेशन दे रहा है, उसे ये लगता है कि ये जो इंफॉर्मेशन उसके पास है वो इंफॉर्मेशन करेक्ट. सो दैट इज कॉल्ड एज मिसरिप्रेजेंटेशन. Fraud is different from misrepresentation. Fraud is when the agent is aware of the fact that the information which he is sharing to the third party is absolutely incorrect, is not correct at all. Still, to deceive the third party, the agent shares that incorrect information with the third party. So that is called as fraud. Misrepresentation में गलत information दी जाती है और फ्रॉड में भी गलत इंफॉर्मेशन दी जाती है. डिफरेंस जो है वो क्या है कि यहां पर किसी को डिसीव करने का इंटेंशन नहीं है मिसरिप्रेजेंटेशन में, और जबकि फ्रॉड में बिल्कुल किसी को डिसीव करने का इंटेंशन रहता है. किसी को डिसीव करना है तो फ्रॉड, गलती से अगर गलत इंफॉर्मेशन दी जा रही है तो मिसरिप्रेजेंटेशन. In case of misrepresentation, yes, the responsibility lies with the principal, but if it is proved that it was not the case of misrepresentation, but it was the case of fraud, where the agent intentionally shared the wrong information and made the third party believe that wrong information is correct information approved by the principal. If such thing happens, then the principal is not liable for any loss which has been done by the agent to the third party. So that was related to duties and liabilities of the principal to his agent. Now, next one, which we will be taking up for discussion, is creation of agency. How the agency is created and what are the various types of agency that we will be discussing now. First agency is very simple. First agency is agency by express agreement. I hope that I am audible to all. मेरी आवाज आ रही है ना आप लोगों तक? Okay, very good, very good. Agency by express agreement. Now, when we were talking about the types of contract, we had discussed what is an express contract and what is an implied contract. Same is the meaning here also. When we talk about agency by express agreement, here it means when the agency is created in oral form or in written form between the principal and the agent, that particular agency is known as agency by express agreement. For example, the principal appoints the agent and an agreement is signed by the principal and the agent. In this agreement, the terms and conditions of employment is mentioned, agent before signing goes through the terms and conditions of employment. He agrees to the remuneration which is offered by the principal during his tenure in the agency. He goes through it, understands it, and signs it. Once it is signed by both the principal and the agent for a period of say 1 month, 2 months, 1 year, 2 years, or more than that, then that agency, that creation of agency will be called as agency by express agreement. ठीक है, written agreement हुआ या oral agreement हुआ, दोनों ने सहमति दी, दोनों ने अप्रूव किया, दोनों मतलब प्रिंसिपल एंड एजेंट, then that particular agreement is called as express agreement. Now we will talk about agency by implied agreement. Now before we move further, if anyone can just explain me what is the meaning of implied agreement, then we will talk about the three types of implied agencies: agency by estoppel, holding out, and necessity. Yes, agency by implied agreement. We will be discussing now agency by implied agreement. So before that, just unmute yourself and explain what is implied agreement.
It is
That we,
obligation
yes.
between two or more parties.
Okay, it is
Obligation
yes.
between two or more parties.
Very good. It is. What else? Complete it. It is an obligation. Yes, it is correct. But how it is made?
In a written contract.
No, when we that will come under express agreement. When we are talking about express agreement is of two types. First type, that it is a written agreement, and sometimes court allows oral agreement also. So both the written agreement and the oral agreement are categorized under express agreement. Then which agreement is categorized under implied agreement, or how these agreements are created? What you said is correct. It's an obligation between two or more parties. First part is absolutely correct. What is the second part? Where in the under exam we have seen that first part is obligation between two or more parties, correct? But that obligation is in written form or is in oral form. That is the second part, right? Of express agreement. In implied agreement also, first part remains the same, that is obligation between two or more parties. Very good, it is correct. But here the second part is different than what we had discussed just now. What is that? How implied agreements are created.
Like if
Yes,
one goes to a doctor or a hospital, but without saying he's
okay,
going for, his intent is to receive a treatment or
very good, very good. So example is correct. Example is absolutely correct. Now, yes, would you like to complete it, beta? Example is correct. A person visiting a doctor to get his treatment done. That is an example of implied agreement. So the person knows that when he will be receiving treatment from the doctor, he is supposed to pay the fees for that.
yeah,
Right?
yeah, he has
That
to
is
pay.
clear. वहां पे डॉक्टर को जाके पूछने की जरूरत नहीं है कि मैं बीमार हूं, मुझे इलाज कराना है, और डॉक्टर भी ऑफर नहीं दे रहा है कुछ भी कि ठीक है, अगर आपको सिर्फ गोलियां लेनी है तो 50 रुपए लगेंगे, या फिर अगर आपको गोलियों के साथ इंजेक्शन भी चाहिए तो 200 रुपए लगेंगे, ऐसा कुछ भी नहीं होता। बीमार व्यक्ति है, हॉस्पिटल जाता है, उसे ट्रीटमेंट करानी है, उसे पता है कि वो डॉक्टर के पास जाएगा, डॉक्टर प्रिस्क्रिप्शन लिखेगा, तो उसे प्रिस्क्रिप्शन के बदले में, वो ट्रीटमेंट के बदले में पैसा चुकाना पड़ेगा। दैट इज द एग्जांपल ऑफ इम्प्लाइड कॉन्ट्रैक्ट। वेरी गुड। नाउ when an agreement is entered into, when an agreement is entered into because of the action or conduct of a person, that agreement is called as implied agreement. बीमार व्यक्ति को वहां पर जाके किसी ने ऑफर नहीं दिया, इसने एक्सेप्टेंस नहीं लिया, वो सीधा गया, उसने नाम दर्ज कराया, डॉक्टर के पास गया, डॉक्टर ने प्रिस्क्रिप्शन लिख के दिया, काउंटर पे आके उसने पैसा पे कर दिया। सो दिस एग्रीमेंट हैज बीन क्रिएटेड बिकॉज ऑफ द कंडक्ट और एक्शन ऑफ अ पर्सन, राइट? सो दैट इज कॉल्ड एज इम्प्लाइड एग्रीमेंट। तो ना ये रिटन फॉर्म में है, ना ये ओरल फॉर्म में है। जब कोई एग्रीमेंट किसी व्यक्ति के, किसी पार्टी के कंडक्ट और एक्शन की वजह से क्रिएट होता है, तो दैट एग्रीमेंट इज कॉल्ड एज implied agreement. Now for implied agreement, there are three categories that we will be discussing now. First one is called as agency by estoppel. Agency by estoppel. Yes, anyone who can give me the meaning of word estoppel? Estoppel, or anyone who knows what is agency of estoppel? Yes, agency of estoppel, or the meaning of word estoppel is when a person doesn't have a excuse to free himself from his responsibility. That is the meaning of word estoppel. Estoppel का मतलब जब किसी व्यक्ति को वो एक्सक्यूज नहीं दे पाता अपनी रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी से पीछे हटने का, राइट? सो दैट इज कॉल्ड एज एस्टोपल, व्हेन अ पर्सन डजंट हैव अ एक्सक्यूज टू कम डाउन ऑन हिज रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी. दैट इज द मीनिंग ऑफ एजेंसी बाय एस्टोपल. नाउ एस्टोपल इज अ इम्प्लाइड एजेंसी, राइट? तो यहां पर कौन सा रहेगा? ये एजेंसी कैसे क्रिएट की गई? ये एजेंसी क्रिएट की गई कंडक्ट या एक्शन की वजह से क्रिएट की गई, राइट? तो यहां पर हम लोग क्या बोल रहे हैं कि जब एस्टोपेल का क्या मतलब है कि जब कोई व्यक्ति अपनी जिम्मेदारी से पीछे नहीं हट सकता। अब वो व्यक्ति कौन है यहां पर? वो व्यक्ति है यहां पर प्रिंसिपल. व्हेन the principal is not given any excuse, when the principal is not given a excuse to deny his responsibility in the agency, that is called as estoppel. When the principal is stopped from denying his responsibility. Yes, any example, if you can give any example? Yes, agency by estoppel. Any example? Agency by estoppel. Yes, बोलिए. ओके, सो एजेंसी ऑफ एस्टोपेल. एस्टोपेल का मतलब समझ गया कि व्हेन द पर्सन इज नॉट allowed to take a excuse, that person is of course the principal. Now here, as it is not a written contract, as it is not a oral contract, it's a implied contract. So remember one thing, whenever there is a implied contract, it is difficult to be proved in the court of law as compared to the express contract, and that too which is in written form. जब भी कोर्ट में कोई एविडेंस या कोई केस फाइल किया जाता है, तो ऑल्दो oral agreements are valid, oral contracts are valid in the court of law, but when it comes to prove with the help of evidences, it is easier to prove written contracts than oral contracts. Similarly, it is very difficult to prove when it comes to a case related to implied agreement, क्योंकि implied में ना oral contract हुआ है ना written contract हुआ है, right? So here agency by estoppel. For example, if a principal, now we had discussed types of agent. Under that we had discussed a type which is called as factors, right? If you can recall that meaning of factor, it is applicable to agency of estoppel. Now in agency of estoppel, what happens is principal approaches his agent and gives him the responsibility of selling the goods of the principal at a particular price, at a particular price. जैसे हम लोगों ने वो एक एग्जांपल लिया था कि कुछ इलेक्ट्रॉनिक गुड्स थे प्रिंसिपल के, जो वो अपने एजेंट को देता है और उसे बोलता है कि ये गुड्स 1 लाख रुपए के नीचे नहीं आप बेच सकते, 1 लाख रुपए के ऊपर आप बेच दीजिए, ठीक है? दैट इज द डील बिटवीन द प्रिंसिपल एंड द एजेंट. Now third party approaches the agent. Agent is given the responsibility by the principal to sell the electronic goods for a price of not less than 1 lakh rupees. Not less than 1 lakh rupees. Now third party or a customer comes to the shop of the agent and he wants to purchase those goods. During the negotiation, 80,000 amount is finalized between the customer or the third party and the agent. And agent sells those electronic goods to the third party, right? जैसे फैक्टर में हमने देखा, same is the case here also कि agent ने वो सारे goods customer को या third party को बेच दी. Now, the principal cannot claim the loss of 20,000 from the customer or the third party under the principle of estoppel. If he files a case against the third party or the customer in the court of law, the court will not accept this case, or it will not consider the hearing, the case or the evidences of the principal as the third party or the customer is not aware of any deal of such type which existed between the principal and the agent. प्रिंसिपल ने क्या इंस्ट्रक्शन दिए थे एजेंट को कि 1 लाख के अंदर आप नहीं बेच सकते वो सामान, आपको वो गुड्स 1 लाख के से ज्यादा कीमत पर बेचना है. अब जो कस्टमर है, जो थर्ड पार्टी है, उसे ये नहीं पता, थर्ड पार्टी दुकान है और वो नेगोशिएट करता है एजेंट के साथ एंड ही परचेजेस दोज गुड्स ऑफ 1 लाख इन 80,000 रुपीस. अब जब 20,000 रुपए का नुकसान हुआ है प्रिंसिपल को, तो प्रिंसिपल कैन नॉट क्लेम दिस लॉस फ्रॉम द थर्ड पार्टी और द कस्टमर, और he cannot claim the goods back also because that excuse doesn't remain with the or doesn't apply with the principal. क्योंकि यहां पर क्या हुआ है कि किसके बीच में था, एजेंट और प्रिंसिपल के बीच. थर्ड पार्टी को सामान गया है, यस, प्रिंसिपल कैन फाइल अ सूट ऑफ compensation or damages against the agent, but he cannot take the third party or the customer to the court of law. So that is called as agency by estoppel. Now next one is agency by holding out. The meaning of holding out is when the conduct of the principal, when the conduct of the principal makes the third party believes that he has appointed the agent to carry out his business activities. That is called as agency by holding out. तो होल्डिंग आउट में क्या होता है कि जब प्रिंसिपल का कंडक्ट या प्रिंसिपल के एक्शन से ऐसा लगता है थर्ड पार्टी को कि जो एजेंट है वो प्रिंसिपल द्वारा ही अपॉइंट किया गया है और वो प्रिंसिपल का ही काम कर रहा है, राइट? अब फॉर एग्जाम्पल, अब जैसे हम लोग बोलेंगे कि प्रिंसिपल इज फ्रॉम पुणे एंड ही इज हैविंग अ इलेक्ट्रॉनिक शॉप इन नासिक. This electronic shop of principal who lives in Pune is managed by his agent, Whenever there is a shortage of electronic items, the agent goes to the wholesale dealer, that is the third party, and takes those goods, electronic goods, on credit of the principal. Principal is having a habit of visiting at least once in a month to his shop, or which is managed by the agent in Nasik. When he visits his shop, monthly visit, whenever monthly visit takes place, at that particular time, principal used to clear all the debt or all the credit or settle all the credit of the wholesaler. तो केस क्या है कि यहां पर प्रिंसिपल पूना में रहता है और उसकी दुकान है इलेक्ट्रॉनिक्स की, जो उसने चलाने के लिए दे रखी है अपने एजेंट को. एजेंट चला रहा है वो दुकान, ठीक, और वो दुकान है नासिक में. अब जब भी इलेक्ट्रॉनिक शॉप में कुछ गुड्स कम हो जाते हैं तो एजेंट क्या करता है, जो होलसेल डीलर है उसको अप्रोच करता है और उससे वो माल खरीदता है, उधार खरीदता है और अपनी दुकान में बेचता है. महीने में एक बार जो प्रिंसिपल है वो अपनी दुकान, मतलब एजेंट की दुकान में नासिक विजिट करता है, और जब भी उसका एक प्रैक्टिस थी, जब भी वो जाता था दुकान, तब वो चेक करता था कि कितना उधार बचा है होलसेलर का, वो डीलर का, और वो हमेशा वो डीलर का जो भी है वो बैलेंस क्लियर कर देता था. अब कोई एग्रीमेंट नहीं था प्रिंसिपल के बीच में और उस होलसेल डीलर के बीच में, जो ये साबित करे कि जो एजेंट है वो प्रिंसिपल द्वारा ही अपॉइंट किया गया है. कोई रिटर्न एग्रीमेंट नहीं. पर ये जो एक्शन है, इसका कौन सा एक्शन, कौन सा कंडक्ट, कि हर महीने वो अपनी दुकान में जा रहा है नासिक, और हर महीने जितना भी उधार सामान लिया है एजेंट ने डीलर से, वो सारा कौन पे कर रहा है? एजेंट नहीं, वो सारा प्रिंसिपल पे कर रहा है होलसेलर को. अब इस एक्शन से होलसेलर को ये लगता है, डीलर को ये लगता है कि एजेंट इज अपॉइंटेड बाय द प्रिंसिपल एंड whatever agent is doing, he is doing on the instructions of his principal. अब 6 महीने, 7 महीने, 1 साल ऐसा ही सिलसिला चलता है. हर महीने जो माल कम होता था वो माल उधार आता था डीलर से, और महीने में जब भी प्रिंसिपल विजिट करता था अपनी दुकान में, तब वो सारा उधार चुका देता था. अब इस दौरान क्या हुआ कि 10 महीने, 11 महीने, 12 महीने, 13वें महीने में एजेंट ने क्या किया कि एजेंट ने उस सामान के साथ साथ जो दुकान में बेचता है, उसने अपने लिए भी कुछ इलेक्ट्रॉनिक का सामान ले लिया, जो उसने होलसेल डीलर को नहीं बताया, जो उसने डीलर को नहीं बताया। तो हर महीने 50,000 या 1 लाख रुपए का सामान उधार आता था और प्रिंसिपल नासिक पहुंच के वो उधार एजेंट का क्लियर करता था। अब एजेंट ने क्या किया कि दुकान में 50,000 का सामान लिया और 50,000 का सामान उसने अपने घर पे शिफ्ट कर दिया। 50,000 का सामान उसने जो डीलर से लिया वो अपने घर पे शिफ्ट कर दिया। अब जब होलसेलर सॉरी प्रिंसिपल जाता है नासिक, तो उसे पता चलता है कि 50,000 का माल ये इसने दुकान में लाया है। घर के माल की एंट्री दुकान के रजिस्टर में नहीं। तो वो रजिस्टर के हिसाब से 50,000 रुपीज देने जाता है डीलर को। डीलर उसे बोलता है कि सर 50,000 नहीं 1 लाख रुपीज का माल गया है। अब ये उसे बोलता है कि नहीं 50,000 का ही दुकान में गया। बाद में पता चलता है कि 50,000 का तो वो घर ले गया। कौन? एजेंट। अब होल्डिंग आउट मीन्स अगर एक बार ये यकीन हो गया है, बार बार ये यकीन हो गया है, किसके एक्शन के द्वारा? प्रिंसिपल के एक्शन के द्वारा। अब बार बार तो होलसेलर उसको पूछेगा नहीं कि ये दुकान के लिए ले जा रहा है या घर के लिए ले जा रहा है। उसे एक बार उसने दिया, प्रिंसिपल ने पूरा पैसा चुका दिया। 10 बार उसने दिया, 10 महीने से वो दे रहा है, 12 महीने से वो दे रहा है, प्रिंसिपल पूरा हिसाब चुका रहा है। तो यहां पर भी प्रिंसिपल को एक्सक्यूज बैकआउट करने का नहीं मिलेगा, बिकॉज देयर इज कोर्ट विल ऑलवेज बिलीव दैट whatever relationship that existed because of the conduct of the principal that made the dealer believe that the agent is following the instructions of the principal. तो यहां पर वो 50,000 रुपए का लॉस किसे सहन करना पड़ेगा? प्रिंसिपल को। Yes, of course, principal is having an option that he can file a case against the agent under fraud, but he cannot escape from the responsibility of paying extra 50,000 plus 50,000 to the dealer. So that is called as agency by holding out. समझ गए आप लोग? Yes, अगर नहीं समझ में आया तो प्लीज पूछ लीजिए। Agency by holding out. Next one is, hello, have you understood?
Yes, sir.
Very good, very
Yes,
good.
sir.
Now agency, very good. Agency by necessity. Necessity meaning everyone knows that what is necessity. Necessity which is very much essential. बराबर, कुछ चीजें बहुत जरूरी होती हैं, essential होती हैं, that are categorized under necessity. So 3 subtypes of necessity we will be discussing when agent exceeds his authority in emergency, when a person is entrusted by another's property, and last one is husband and wife. Okay, so all these 3 are very interesting. So instead of I giving you the example, I hope that because you have understood the first 2, what is estoppel and what is holding out, and you also know the meaning of the word necessity. So it is very easier for you also to explain the meaning of 3 sub points. First one, when agent exceeds his authority in emergency. Second, when a person is entrusted by another's property. And the third one is husband and wife. Yes, anyone who can explain this with example? It is in continuation of the first 2 points. Yes. वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट द इम्प्लाइड एग्रीमेंट्स, ऐसे एग्रीमेंट जहां पर रिटर्न कॉन्ट्रैक्ट नहीं है, रिटर्न एग्रीमेंट नहीं है, because of the conduct or action of the principal, the third party believes that the third party is entering into a contract with the principal himself, right? एजेंट यहां पर क्या है? कनेक्टिंग लिंक है, एक ब्रिज के जैसा है जो दो पार्टीज को मिला रहा है, पर ये रिटर्न नहीं है, ये ओरल नहीं है, ये सिर्फ कंडक्ट या एक्शन की वजह से हो रहा है, राइट? सो फर्स्ट वन, व्हेन an agent exceeds his authority in emergency. Emergency means, what is emergency?
In case there is some emergency in home, so if suppose husband is
Yes.
not well and he has authorized something to give to someone else, so his behalf wife might be the authorized person.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. So that can be say we can think of this particular example when we will be talking about point number C, that is husband and wife. We are talking about necessity. Necessity means things which are very essential, not other than that. We will okay, we will continue this particular example only, husband and wife, right? तो सबको समझने में बहुत आसानी होगी, husband and wife. As you have given the example, it is clear that in case of any emergency, suppose the husband is not feeling well, and on his behalf, if wife is taking care of his business, then we can say that yes, it can be included, but that thing should be categorized as very essential or necessity. Now suppose the husband is not well and the wife goes to the chemist and he gets the medicines on credit of the husband, right? हस्बैंड की तबीयत ठीक नहीं है, इमरजेंसी सिचुएशन है, और वाइफ अपना पर्स कैरी नहीं किया उसने भी, तो अभी पैसे नहीं है, इमरजेंसी में वो केमिस्ट के पास जाती है और केमिस्ट से वो उधार दवाइयां ले लेती है. तो हस्बैंड एंड वाइफ, वी विल अज्यूम हियर दैट दे आर एक्टिंग एज प्रिंसिपल एंड एजेंट, ठीक है? तो husband, we can assume that he is principal and wife is agent. This is just for an example, don't take it otherwise, ठीक? So husband is principal and wife is agent. Is my voice clear?
Yes sir.
मेरी voice
Yes,
clear है
sir.
क्या? शायद मुझे एको हो रहा है या पता
Yes,
नहीं.
सर लिटिल बिट इको है लेकिन क्लियर है सर.
अच्छा, हाँ, मुझे क्योंकि बार बार ऐसा लग रहा है कि शायद मेरा क्लियर नहीं है. ओके, ठीक है,
थोड़ा सा इको है लेकिन क्लियर है.
हाँ, क्लियर है, वेरी गुड. तो इसी एग्जाम्पल को हम लोग कंटिन्यू करेंगे. तो हस्बैंड इज नॉट फीलिंग वेल एंड वाइफ गोज टू द केमिस्ट एंड गेट्स द मेडिसिन फॉर द हस्बैंड ऑन क्रेडिट ऑफ द हस्बैंड. केमिस्ट नोज द हस्बैंड, सो he gives the medicine on credit. On recovery, after recovery, the husband is supposed to pay the chemist. Now here, husband is not allowed to excuse that he has not given permission to his wife to go to the chemist and get the medicine for him. So here it will be assumed in the court that this was the case of emergency, and because of this emergency, without taking the prior permission or prior sanction from the husband, wife approaches the chemist and purchases or gets the medicines on the credit. So once the husband is recovered, it is his duty that he has to return the money. ठीक है, ये हो गया एक एग्जाम्पल इमरजेंसी का. Okay, what we will do is we will stop here. Other very interesting examples are there, but before I share you the example, what we will do is we will take this take this as your homework. You have to give one more example related to husband and wife. Okay, and tomorrow when we will be meeting in the morning session at 8:30 a.m. We will discuss the remaining two implied agreements also, when agent exceeds his authority in emergency and when a person is entrusted by another's property. तो ये तीनों जो points हैं we will take up for discussion tomorrow morning when we will be having our lecture. But please read this and come prepared so that more discussion can take place. ठीक है? Plus we will tomorrow we will complete only 2 slides are remaining, so we will complete the first unit definitely, right?
Okay, sir.
Okay, sir.
Now what you can do is you can take the screenshot of this. इसका screenshot ले लीजिए. तो termination of agency और agency of necessity, ये दो आप पढ़ के आइए तो हम लोग अच्छे से फिर डिस्कस कर सकते हैं उसमें. ठीक है, एंड आई वांट मोर डिस्कशन. ज्यादा से ज्यादा डिस्कशन होना चाहिए, जैसा नॉर्मल इंटरेक्टिव क्लासरूम में होता है. ऑनलाइन का यही एक ड्रॉबैक है that it becomes monotonous or one way communication is there. ठीक है, so tomorrow we will try to discuss more about implied agreements, agency by creation of implied agreement, as well as we will try to discuss about termination of agency, how termination of agency takes place and what are the various types of terminating the agency, that we will be discussing. So tomorrow we will be meeting at 8:30 a.m. Okay, so thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you all. Chalo, good night.
घराचे आबरू वाचवायचं सोडून तू 4 पैशासाठी वाटते ते करतो. हे बघ